Hi, everybody, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are out there, and greetings and from us here, the panel live from the GCC. I'm in Dubai, but also from virtually from Hong Kong with MT. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have a very nice topic here, and we're gonna talk about money. Meaning the new business models and investment strategies to meet the cable's future digital demand. A mouthful, lots to discuss. We have roughly 45 minutes to discuss this. But again, I cannot do this alone, and I do not want to do this alone. And I'm very honored to have a distinguished panelist here with me from all over the world. I'll give them a quick minute to introduce themselves, and if I may be as humble as I'm always are, to give the word first and the floor to
Thank you so much. Hi everyone, I'm very glad to be with you today, and it's been a while since we attended an event like this. It's been like through meetings, online meetings, and it's not fun as seeing each other face to face. So I would like to introduce myself. My name is Huda Al-Ghabshi. I'm Senior Manager Capacity and Submarine in Omantel. I can be considered, and I'm proud to say that I'm the first female in this industry, Omani female. So I hope I can give you a good input in this session, and pleasure to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Huda, and honor having you here. And I'm more than sure. I'm convinced that your contribution to this panel will be absolutely there. So on your right, we have Mustafa. Mustafa, thank you for being here, please.
Thank you, everybody. It's my first time to be here in GCC. I hope we can add new information and new data for submarine cable.
Thank you so much, and welcome, and fantastic having you. Thank you for coming. So let's go a little bit virtual, and let's go to Hong Kong. MT, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, thank you for your introduction. Yeah, however, unfortunately, I'm unable to join the event physically, but it is also good for me, good for myself to participate the panelists to the event virtually. So I'm now still in Hong Kong. The travel restriction also blocked me to fly everywhere, but it is glad that we are still able to join the virtual meeting through the multiple developed subsea cables. So it is also thanks to the previous people to invest on the cable before. And my own visibility in within China Mobile, I will be the planner for the China Mobile Global Subsea Network Planning globally, not only for intra-Asia, but also for the Middle East, Africa, EMEA, and also for the America. So yeah, I already participate for multiple projects within China Mobile for the past 5 years. So yeah, I hope we are able to share, and also I'm able to contribute more information and to the industry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, MT, and fantastic having you, even if it's virtually, but you promise next time you'll sit here with us together with
definitely
live in the panel. So, okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, we have Omantel, we have Sudatel, we have China Mobile International, and we're all operators. And it's nice to discuss a topic from a point from operator side, but it would not be complete to have a full understanding if we do not see this from, let's say, may I say so, a banker's point of view, from the guys who really put the money on the table as well, or together with conglomerates or with whoever wants to build or invest. So I'm very proud and honored to have Robert Wallen here with me, and I'll give him a quick minute to introduce himself for the people who do not know him yet, but now you will. Please, Robert.
Thank you very much for the introduction there. My name is Robert Wallen. I'm Managing Director for Natixis in the covering the telecom sector. For you who do not know Natixis, we are part of BPC Group. We are the corporate investment bank, and we are providing anything from advisory services, working capital, infrastructure finance, acquisition finance, any kind of support is needed in the telecom sector. And we are particularly known for supporting the subsea segment, something that we have quite recently been finalizing some transactions.
Thank you, Robert, and welcome again. And thank you for on this short notice being here with us. So thank you so much. So we're talking about the new business models and the investment strategies to meet the cable's future digital demand. So going in there and maybe Huda, if I may ask you to get the first question. I mean, new investment opportunities and growth submarine market demands. I mean, what is the landscape? What do we see? What I mean, you and Untitled have been investing a huge amount of money over the last couple of years and still are doing it. So what do you see around you? Can you give us a glance from let's say, well, the submarine landscape we see today?
Okay. We definitely see that it's growing. The business is growing. And as per Untitled, we already had like a vision that to be in the hub of the region, because previously we were like all the trade ships were transiting in Oman and exchanging goods. So we wanted to continue on this vision, and we started like we can consider it as we recently started in the market since 2010, but till within let's say 11 years. What we have right now is really huge, like this thanks to the management of Untitled and the management of wholesale and of course the vision of Oman as a country. So now we can see that nowadays the OTTs are the drivers of this market, especially in the pandemic, for example. Everybody was at home, fully locked down, and you don't have anything unless go online, watch videos. So the good thing that during pandemic, I think all of you will agree that telecom, they really made good revenue, expanding capacity, growing in submarine as well. So this market is really growing, but you need to know the secret. You need to know with whom you have to invest, with whom you have to partnership, because then once it is a win-win situation, then both of you will be growing. So from our opinion, that OTTs are the driver. You need to be like for us in Untitled, we become the wholesaler of OTT, which is the driver for us.
Okay, thank you, and I have to congratulate you. But it's not only the submarine cables, because they have to come into a landing station and then they go to a data center. So
yes,
congrats with your partnership with Equinix on the
yes,
MC1
yes,
and the future, which is there to build in Shalala. So
yes.
so it's
Thank you.
compliments for that. Now, Mustafa, maybe you can join in. What do you see around you? What is the submarine landscape? What's happening? And maybe especially for Sudan, why is it so important?
Yes, as you know, the connectivity being the major factor of now, especially in the pandemic situation. The main factor is connectivity. Connectivity means that submarine cables and other part is the backhaul or terrestrial cables. In Sudan, we have as a future strategy that now we have two separate landing stations to make the diversity, and we are going to join some new submarine cables because the position or the location of Sudan is very good for other landlocked countries. We have 3 or 4 terrestrial cables with neighboring countries, landlocked countries, Ethiopia and South Sudan and Chad. Also, we have terrestrial cable with Egypt. And the opportunity is very, very huge to serve these countries through Port Sudan.
No, absolutely, and especially Sudan as a country there, you do have a hub function in there as well. So it's absolutely key for you. Also, as you mentioned, for the landlocked countries. I mean, you have the direct connection to Juba, and you're probably to South Sudan. You're probably the only one having that, the real terrestrial able towards that. So connecting the unconnected is absolutely a driver. I see that as well. Now, MT, coming to you, what do you see? I mean, what do you see maybe worldwide, but maybe also let's say in Asia? What's going on there?
Yeah, actually, the demand in Asia also coming up very hugely. I think it is also thanks to the 5G technology developing and also expanding in multiple countries within Asia. Especially, I think 5G already quite mature in Hong Kong, in mainland China, also in some others Asian countries like Singapore. I think in another Asian countries also expanding their 5G network. I think, however, 5G network, it is not only the driver for the huge demand for this connectivity. I think the OTT also providing lots of the content to providing the relative contents to the users. And the data center development within Asia also become very huge and quick, and huge data connectivity between multiple countries. It is also driving the demand going up rapidly within Asia. I think not only for Asia, but also for intercontinental connectivity, such as Middle East to Asia, Middle East to Europe, even though Europe, Asia. I think it is also the driver to climbing up the huge demand between the multiple area, and also the data center. I think the internet also changes from 20 years ago. When I 20 years ago when I just graduated from the high school, the internet is totally different from today. In the old model, it's just between the client server. And most of the data will be handling by the terminal, by the no matter by the hand in that time only computer at home. Now everybody holding the handset, you can access to the internet everywhere, and you're also able to process. Even though for the mobile phone, it is already very powerful to process a lot of data. And the connectivity mainly to providing the content you want to read, such as the news, the video. However, it is not only connecting between people to the server. Now, it is also, even though for the something how to say, the terminal, like your air conditioner at home, your light, your lamp, your door, everything. Even though for the digital home, also making the internet connectivity become more important, and the OTT providing the huge connectivity and much more data center developed in multiple countries. It is also making the demand for the capacity connectivity between multiple countries also very huge. I think multiple factors making everything combined together, and also driving the demand of the connectivity become very higher and higher. Yeah, that's the observation from Asia. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, Robert, I mean, again, we heard it, let's say, from the operator side, and talking about the new investment opportunities. What can you tell us, let's say, from a banking point of view, from an investment point of view, but also maybe you can link it to if you see, let's say, some new financing models arising or arriving, or is it something we need to look for? What, from a banking point of view, are you looking for? What is, and again, what's out there, and what are you looking for?
Yeah. Well, I think we have some recent examples of what is happening from an investor's point of view. We have had, as a group, we have had a mandate during the year to find a new, shall I say, investor into an existing up and running subsea cable between Asia, sort of between APAC and Americas, where the existing shareholder structure needed to be rejuvenated, and it was an existing client of ours, and we used our investment bank arms to find a new investor for the future. And whilst this had taken a little bit of time, the pandemic, as you mentioned, helped on, because suddenly there was a greater demand for the services, and there is now, shall we say, interest in owning a connectivity through a subsea cable. Not necessarily from the traditional telecom operators, but as correctly pointed out, to the OTTs. And on one of the projects where we are mandated now to put in place a solution with equity, etc. One of the key ingredients there is that we have a joint build with one of the OTTs, so who are basically saying that they would like to have this Asia Pacific connectivity, which would actually then connect with Oman eventually. And there, shall we say, having an OTT on board for a portion of the investment means that the certainty that the project will materialize
And be
is
Yeah.
increasing dramatically.
Mhm.
Because once the OTT has engaged with the subsea provider, and I'm not talking about, shall we say, the usual suspects here, ASN and others. They are building for them all over the world, and once they are being sort of on the book, they will continue and they will complete, which gives the other operators who might want to have that connectivity so much more convinced that the project will materialize. Now, when it comes to the financing of these projects, traditionally you would sort of try to project a subsea connectivity. You would go out and try to pre-sale a lot of IRUs, and you were continuing until you didn't find anyone, people more who do it, and then you look at the price, and then you look at how much money was missing, and then, oh, okay, it didn't happen. Now what we are seeing to a greater extent is that if you have this anchor tenant, you automatically can get the other users of the cable to commit as well. And the requirement for equity is diminishing very rapidly, because you, as a developer or manager of a capacity, you are basically just a middleman here, making sure that everybody gets what they want, and that your equity input is, you're having more sweat equity than cash equity.
Next question.
Yes, Francois, and thank you for joining in. So please, if you have a question, then please speak up.
I don't think I need the microphone. I have a question for the gentleman. I'm also not there from exact stuff.
Yeah.
The comment you made about the OTT being kind of mandatory for all subsidies. Is it because the world of financiers think that the OTT validates the technology for rules, or because you have more confidence in the money, which I don't understand, than the original time?
Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah.
Knowing that from us,
Yes.
because we land many subsea cables in Europe.
Yeah.
Basic first question I have for any new project, you have OTT on board.
Yeah, I think that the way we have been looking at, of course, nice to have money, but I think it's also because there are so many possible projects out there. So when we are looking at them from a banking point of view, we have a limited resource in a human and primarily. So knowing that there is a large OTT on board or a large telco, that's okay, but it's you get the certainty that the project actually will happen. And then you can sort of invest the time and money necessary to do all the due diligence that is necessary. So it is more the certainty that the project will happen. And of course, an OTT.
And capacity will be well utilized.
Yes, exactly. The telco, the OTT, they will buy sort of, this is what I need for my needs. And the entrepreneur, or they can then add, a fiber pair or 2 or 3, depending on how ambitious they are. But then with that certainty, you also can turn to the vendors. Because today you have 2 to 3 years delivery time. And for the vendors to commit that, okay, I will put you on my 2-year waiting list, you are fighting against a number of other projects who also want to be on that list. So having an OTT, having a strong telco on board makes you prioritize.
Thank you, Francois, for your question. Thank you. So, MT, looking into the new business models, if we may call them like this, or adjusted business models, are you see something happening there? I mean, maybe not, but if so, can you share with us your thoughts?
Yeah, actually, from the previous project or recently the project we joined, actually the model also changing from the old time. I think maybe just talking about 10 years ago. Before 10 years ago, most of the project will be come along with multiple telecom operator and every party. So just invest a little bit, contribute a little bit, like they very likely to mentioning 1 mil. Mil means minimum investment unit. Maybe it is talking about maybe 30 million for a project. And ultimately, you got only certain capacity on the system, and you have to share everything within the system, even though everything will be controlled by the consortium members, and then you have to write what you want to do, whatever. But I think in the past 5 years, anyway, at least when the time I participate for those projects involved by myself or at least by China Mobile. Actually, it is something changing, and the so-called mil already increased from certain capacity already up to fiber pair level, even though maybe half fiber pair or the full fiber pair. I think the demand for the operator or even though for the OTT also changing, and the OTT would like to. Or the giant investor would like to having more capacity and try to minimize the number of participants or investor into the project to make sure the decision could be quicker and the project could be start earlier, and trying to bringing the CIF to come into force for the project start earlier. So the time for the negotiation, I mean the period before construction shorten. I think in the past, usually we will spend at least 1.5, even to 2 or even 3 years for the discussion before we sign off the contract that bring the project into the CIF stage. And then we spend another 2 to 3 years for the building, for the construction. After that, the delivery time for the system, it is already talking about 5 to 6 years. But I think the new model minimize the number of parties. That means the decision could become quicker. However, the fact is all of the participant or the investor, they have to commit in higher amount, higher value or higher fiber count. For example, if a project in the past, we have just taking the example for CC-Webinar.Live, we have 19 parties in the project. Right. However, 19 parties to share among the 3 fiber pair. So ultimately, every party's got only 1 to 2 tera capacity. But now we are talking about another new project like the IAX project, IEX project. We have only 3-4 parties within the consortium, but every parties you have to commit at least 3 fiber pair. So the capacity is talking about 10 times, even to 20 times from the 10 years ago. So, however, we are able to making the project more quicker, and decision could be much more sooner and responding to the market. And this project, I think we can at least, because for the construction time, we cannot minimize the construction, because no matter how, you have to allow the sufficient time for the supplier to manufacturing the equipment and for the cable lay, editing. It is something we cannot minimize, but we can minimize for the period, for the every party's negotiation before the project, shorten the time to bringing the project into the CIF. So it is something what we can do, but the factor is we have to make sure we have sufficient funding to start the project earlier without waiting for another investor to input for more funding to make sure the project is able to be having the sufficient funding and working with the business case, something like that. So and also it is also able to making the project with less drawback, because within the consortium, or even though in the consortium model cables, your decision maybe will be it will be affect my decision, right? Maybe initially I want to compete for 3 fiber pair. Each fiber pair cost we well understand about that, but maybe ultimately one of the consortium they are unable to obtain the management approval. That means the total investment for the project will be changing, will be less. Therefore, every remaining parties has to be put more money into the project. So ultimately, it will be another round, another cycle for the funding approval for the each parties. So it is also making the case messy. So I think the new model definitely able to shorten the time and allow the quicker decision and quick project, earlier delivery time. And most importantly, it is also bringing more capacity on the single system.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Mustafa?
Yes, before we go further, I want to ask a question that Robert may answer. I'm talking about the World Bank. The World Bank, as we know, financing infrastructure in developing countries, many developing countries. One of these infrastructure are the fiber cables. But this fiber cables is terrestrial fiber cables. Is financing submarine cables is going to be one of the mandates of World Bank?
I don't recall the World Bank directly having been involved in subsea cable. I've seen MEGA being involved. I've seen IFC being involved. And it's definitely a question which is primarily led by the host country. So if you are a developing country, you know approximately your allocation of development support, whether it is for the World Bank, MEGA, or IFC. And it's a question of priorities. And there are other segments in developing countries' economy that take priority over subsea cable, not because subsea cable is not necessary, but because subsea cable actually has the capacity to find its own financing. And one of the things that we have been working on in the past, much more than in the present, is putting together financing, which is a combination of sort of multilateral agencies, including the export credit agencies. And you see a number of the cables that are now under construction is benefiting from that. But it's primarily, I would say, a question for the sort of the recipient country of the donation, whether they are going to prioritize subsea. Subsea has money to be made, so it's not really the top of the list.
No, but I mean, we saw, for instance, in African countries,
Yes.
that sometimes, as you rightly mentioned, for instance, from the World Bank, they were, okay, it is fine, let me put it like this. Yes, you get the money, but you need to focus on tourism, digitalization, or internet, or connect the unconnected, or whatever. So it could be, let's say, within the strategy, a portion of the budget, and then it's up to the state to, let's say, okay, let's decide to join the CB5, the TAT14, the whatever new cables on the east coast of Africa. So I think that answers your question, right? Okay, so Huda, quickly coming back to the business models, did you within Omantel, or maybe you saw it around you, that business models changed or approach changed, and if so, can you share that with us?
Yeah, I'll be very quick. We saw that it's been changing and modified a lot. We as Omantel, although we were in the market for only 10 years, but we kept learning from others, from whatever mistakes or good experience of others. So our model now been enhanced, and it focuses on 3 elements. The first one is the cable design, where we believe that old is gold. So our new muse are the fiber pairs. As we know, previously we were selling STM1s and up to 1 or 10 gig. Now you don't hear about those, like it's 100 gig terabit and fiber pair. So the business model, this was one important element. The second one is with whom we would invest. As I said, we believe that OTT is a driver. Capacity requirements is really tremendously increasing. Terabyte, like previously we were not hearing about this T, it was only gig. So this is second element. The third element, which is I agree with MT, that it is important for Omantel now to have a selective consortium members. We used to have cables with more than 40 consortium members. Some they have an input, some they don't have. And also the requirement of capacity is different. Now, for example, the recent one we are working on, Blue Raman.
Yeah.
We are 3, although that the investment is bigger, but at least we managed to have like fast decision. If there is any challenge, it will be solved very quickly, and everybody is participating equally. So having selective consortium member is also a very important factor in any investment model.
Okay, no, this is exactly in line what MT already said, that the consortiums with having 20 or 18 partners in there, it takes a huge amount of time to get to certain decisions, or even to get all the heads together on a call. And already that is.
And imagine during the pandemic how it will be.
Can add something?
Yes, please, François. Yes.
You're very right. There's a change in technology developed by the submarine, ESN and so on.
Yeah.
That nowadays, that 5 years from now, basically the new cable A1 will land in Marseille or anywhere. We will provide one fiber pair and a storage, and all the guys will.
And even the technologies are changing.
Now you have 18 and even 24 fiber pairs, meaning that potentially a new subsea landing, we have working on 3 subsea landing projects. Potentially we have 24 customers, with each of them one fiber pair. Each of them is a special space station, meaning that we have revamp design of architecture. Each of them with their own ILAs and own rules, Milano or Genoa, whatever everyone wants to go. And it's a total different game. And when Intro built the network initially 20 years ago, we were at, if I recall, most places with 48 fiber pairs. And only 5-10 years ago, we were scratching our head saying, how are we going to sell 48 fiber pairs? Now, because of 24 fiber pairs, if we win 3 of them, which won't happen. Basically, we need 72 fiber pairs between Sicilian and Milano. And so it's impacting the entire industry and our people, our customers, everyone.
Yeah.
And previously, the cable was like maximum 6 fiber pair. Yeah. Now we are talking like for Blue Raman, for example, we are talking about 20 fiber pair. Facebook is working on 25 fiber pairs. So the number of fiber pairs are increasing.
Mhm.
to accommodate the requirement of the market.
Yeah.
I have a side question for banker.
Yes. You see, Robert? Having you on the panel here.
Robert, it's good to have you here.
Historically, basically, financing was covering only the subsidy, which was fine. However, those guys will land in Marseille, in Sicilia, in Italy, and then we'll find out that terrestrial fiber is expensive.
Yeah.
So everyone here thinks that terrestrial fiber is cheap. It's not cheap. It's more in terms of money.
It depends on where you are.
Yeah, in subsidy. But now we have all those guys asking for extension from, say, a new system, Palermo, all the way to Paris.
Yeah.
And they're finding that shit, there's 50 million to invest on top.
Yep.
And 25 million for the equipment, So are you now requested to finance systems end to end?
Yes, and we are.
Good.
Short and to the point. No, but we do not, I mean, from our point of view, we do finance, shall I say, the subsea segment, which may be including landing station if you're breaking new ground. But in addition to that, we are also one of the largest banks in terms of terrestrial fiber financing not only in EMEA, but also in APAC and because. So we do finance the infrastructure, terrestrial infrastructure. We are also in the B2B segment. So today, as the OTTs are asking for dedicated capacity between their data centers, we finance the companies that are providing this dedicated fiber between the subsea landing station to the data center, from that data center to the next data center. So there are a number of B2B operators that we are supporting for this particular segment. It's based, of course, on medium to long-term contracts. And that's where, shall we say, the OTT are providing the backbone for the financeability. But the operators are, of course, having some spare capacity that can be developed for customers in the SME segment and larger corporates who want that kind of support. But we are one of the few banks who finance this, so show the whole chain. So we finance the data center, we finance this terrestrial fiber, we do the B2B, we do the subsea, we even do the satellites. Have I forgotten something? Towers as well.
Towers.
We are doing the financing of the towers, and we do M&A for all these things when you want to knit up a network. I mean, of course, we have very closely at Interoute. We've been looking at Telxius and their subsea cable trials and tribulations that has gone through the market. But it's a question of right sizing. It's a question on having a clear idea on where one is heading. And we pride ourselves of actually knowing why we're supporting certain projects and maybe not others.
Thank you again, François, for but we have an addition from Mustafa.
I want to add about the future of the cable models, because there is a challenge of the connection in the landing station. And now I think some cables are going to be bob-to-bob cable, that there is no cross connection fees. All the consortium member or all the owners can have their own bob in the landing station. So this can eliminate.
That's a big change, by the way.
Yes. Now some cables also there is in the future or the merging of neutral data centers that can solve this problem. That many companies are going to make a neutral data center to co-locate the landing station of other operators.
No, and this is exactly which we tipped on yesterday in our data center panel as well. And we see these changes throughout, let's say, the whole chain. And so that's happening. That's becoming. I mean, I mean, I think the MC1 is from Omantel is a nice example of this already, and more to come, I would say, for the future. And of course, this will be improved and so on. But we see those changes happening. We see these models changing from a design point of view, from a planning point of view, and I think that's important. Now, okay, let's go to, let's say, the market demand. So let's a bit on the other side. MT, how can you classify, let's say, the market demand? Do we understand it? I mean, you from an operator point of view, and what's the way or how to address it?
I think from the market demand point of view, definitely OTT is a huge user, or the demand is coming from the OTT. However, we are not only 2 OTT, 3 OTT as well. We're also having some more smaller OTT, or even though some initial new OTT for the entire system, right? So I think for the demand, as of the operator point of view, we have to provide sufficient capacity to everyone, not only for OTT, but also for ourselves, for our organic user, but also for another newcomer to the market, to support the newcomer, new OTT or new business starter, to helping them to having a fair and very well developed internet platform to let them to access to their customer around the world. So I think it is also kind of the visibility from the one of the biggest operator in the Asia. So we from our company perspective, we are quite committing to continue invest on the global subsea network to make sure the network could be continuous and also able to be providing the sufficient capacity to the world, because you know, for those OTT, they build the subsea network mainly for their internal use, right? They sell them to take out to offer the capacity to the market. So I think the operator still become continuously to providing the sufficient data to the market. I think it's also quite important. So that's why Omantel still continuing to commit for another new project and building the new data center for the within Oman, to commit for to the market to make sure anyone, not only for the OTT, but anyone, as long as you want, as long as you willing to pay the reasonable price, you're able to obtain the whatever you need from the industry. Yeah. So I think it is a reason why we are continuing to invest for the global subsea network. Yeah.
Thank you. Huda, maybe you could quickly join in, or want to add maybe something on, let's say, on the demand which you see which is out there, or the future demand. I mean,
okay, I will touch base from a different angle. We see that the capacity is really increasing, so technologies should increase, should develop or enhance. We see cables with aluminum instead of copper. So technology keep enhancing and like growing. So we need, as operator or ISP, we need to find the suitable business model to adapt to all of this. Since the capacity is increasing, this means that the entry ticket for submarine will increase, the cash out will increase. So we need to find out a suitable model to be able to continue in investing. We can see that a lot of our previous customers, now they are building their own cable system. So this is also something that we need to think of it in order to overcome this challenge and to find another ways for revenue. So there is a lot of challenges, but and changes, but as operator or as a company, we need to work into finding the perfect model to sustain and increase the revenue.
Which is already difficult enough, right?
Yes.
And you need, and especially on the.
And believe me, the revenue target is increasing year by year.
Yep, well, talk to Sahil then. But so is his target. Mustafa, maybe you want to bump it.
I think it's one of the challenge of implementing submarine cables, ROI, as submarine cables is long-term investment, and most of the board of directors asking the short return of investment, and sometimes submarine cables need long time to get back the money. This is one of the biggest challenge in implementing submarine cables.
I think that the only positive is it goes faster to get your money back now than it used to. So I think that's a positive. I mean, a personal reflection, of course, on all the sort of opportunity that has been out there in the market, and you're trying to look in the crystal ball and see where is value going to be created in the future. And I mean, a personal reflection on that one is I do believe that the landing stations are going to become more and more valuable for an operator who can offer their clients end-to-end connectivity through the landing stations and the onboard transportation, terrestrial transportation to a data center. There, I believe there is going to be great value. So being an Omantel, so to speak, with ample landing station support, and then the ability then to transfer whether terrestrial or onwards, either northbound or southbound or westbound, that makes a difference. And well, I mean, you can always buy more landing stations around the world.
Yeah. Actually, this is what we are doing to promote MC1. Like, even we have packages for backhaul connectivity. We can take you to Europe or to Singapore. So we are doing it right now in Omantel, and I hope this will continue.
Absolutely. No, but okay. Okay, guys, we talked about the change which is happening. The consortiums are getting, let's say, smaller from a partnership volume type. The target time to market is faster. The return on investment, which is demanded to become faster, can be addressed due to the fact that the consortiums will be a bit smaller. I mean, let's not forget the OTTs are building their own sea cables in there as we speak. I mean, from a planning point of view, let's not forget to book a ship. Because if you want to put, let's say today, you right? I mean, I come from Orange, so we had a ship, right? And to make sure that you have a ship to even put the cable physically in the water, try to book it. I don't have to say anything more, but
actually, this is a good business to be a supplier of cables.
I'm buying boats right now.
I think this increase the cost, the price of.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're one of the few ships out there in the world, and the demand is that high, I mean, every business model goes like this. So yeah, of course, they will ask a bit more. But from a planning point of view, it remains quite difficult. And sometimes we forget this, but this is an important issue. Robert, you were mentioning the crystal ball, and before I come to you, I want to go to Hong Kong, to your old city actually, to MT. MT, looking a bit in the crystal ball, but what can we expect? What's out there? What kind of new cable systems will we see? What is China Mobile International doing to help to address the demand? Come on, tell us.
Yeah, actually, we are also quite focused on the intra-Asia, because the intra-Asia connectivity is definitely important. But I think recently we also working on the EMEA region, like we also having the IEX system. We also invest on the 2 Africa system, and within Asia we have the HJC2. We also having another intra-Asia system which is in the planning. I think it will be going to be enhanced very soon. So the connectivity is already from Hong Kong, cities, Singapore, Thailand, and then extending to the Middle East, like in Salalah, Djibouti, and also to Sudan as well via the two Africa system, and then all the way going to Europe, like Marseille and Italy. So it is the project that we are ongoing and working together, and together with our data center in Hong Kong, in Singapore, Frankfurt, and London. I think it is actually data center and the connectivity between this. Definitely, it is a key to providing the full services from end to end. As Robert just mentioning, the cable landing station also become very valuable because you are able to providing multiple directions connectivity from the cable station. We also providing the cable landing services in Singapore. Which is also one of the system will be landing in our own data center directly. So the customer, they are able to extending their connectivity onward from our data center to anywhere, to another data center within the city, even though you are also able to extend the connectivity to through the Singapore to Malaysia border and then to Malaysia as well. So I think the connectivity also within Asia also become very huge demand, and also the cloud, right? The cloud also bringing up the connectivity higher because the computing power will be distributing to multiple areas. So it is also boosting up the connectivity demand between multiple data centers within the regions. So yeah, that's the what we observed from the market in the past few years. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, MT. Mustafa, your outlook for the near future. What do you see? What will happen? And maybe especially on the region where you're in Sudan and the surrounding landlocked countries. What will we see?
In Africa, in general, in Africa, and I think most of the cables going from Africa to Europe. And I think in the future we can see more cables from America to Africa through Atlantic Ocean because the huge demand of the bandwidth and to make shorter routes for the West Africa. As you know, till now, one of the most expensive capacity and bandwidth in West of Africa. It's not like East of Africa. East of Africa, the price is going down of the bandwidth per megabit. And in Sudan, now the good thing that the American embargo has been lifted, and in Sudan we are going to make more investment, and there is no restrictions for investment in submarine cables, and there is no restriction from financing. There is no restriction from vendor to work in Sudan.
Okay, thank you. Please,
This is really good and interesting.
Of course, I know. So, what's your outlook for the near future, and what can we expect even more from Omantel?
The changes coming, capacity is increasing. So the key for Omantel is good partnership and good business relationship. This will lead to have to have creative new routes, like what we did with Oman Australia cable. Who thought that we will have a link from Australia to
It's a surprise for me.
Yeah, I think for everybody. Yeah, I think for everybody, like, because normally it goes to Singapore or Hong Kong, and then it comes to India and then to GCC. But this is like a direct route to Oman, which is for us as Omantel, it's our location as Oman is really considered as a gateway of the region. So it's helping us a lot. We will have in future lots of neutral data center. We saw a success story in MC1, and we would like to repeat it again in Salalah or any other places. We will be very open to participate, to partnership with anyone. Also, we will have a diversity routes, because containing or bringing OTTs for example, to Oman, then we will need to provide them with huge capacity. Well, recently we sold almost 2.5 terabytes. This is really huge, and good thing that Sohail will be happy of me and Johannes. So there will be a huge requirement. We need to accommodate this by having new routes, reducing cost of, for example, accessing certain area without mentioning names, and also to partnership with OTTs or big players who can make cables like successful projects.
Okay, beautiful. Now, Robert, I know you had a hassle coming here from via Riyadh, but first of all, I would like to thank you again for making it happen to come here and to contribute and to share, let's say, from a different angle on certain topics like the data centers yesterday and today on the submarine cable. So a big thank you for that. But can you give us, let's say, your outlook from an investment, from a strategy investment, from a banker point of view? What do you expect, or what do you hope to expect, or what do you see in the market, which the operators, where you can, for instance, let's say, support any investments to operators with operators or other service providers in the market? What's your outlook?
Yes. Well, I mean, one of the advantages of having reached mature age is I have seen a couple of cycles. Yeah, of course. So I think it's important. What we are seeing right now, we are seeing an adjustment of the way that subsea cable is being projected. Basically, you get smaller consortia. Speed to market is important. We have the benefit of the OTTs being the anchor, allows the operators to add additional capacity over and above what the OTT also makes for themselves, the transportation of that data from data center to data center, sometimes terrestrial cable, sometimes subsea cable. That's all well and good. We have mentioned that there is price pressure. Certain routes have been able to get a premium because there has not been any competitive cable. That will not be the case in the future. We will see price erosion. We are now in a build flux where there is a lot of capacity being built based upon the need that has become very obvious through the pandemic. This need is not going to disappear, but I think the explosive growth that we have seen over the last 2 years is going to be a little bit tampered. We are going to go back to, shall we say, the normal growth of data, which is still exponential. So I think it's important to keep an eye on what is the valuable part. With the subsea cables going from 4 pairs to 24 pairs and 32, we are going to see additional competition on pricing. There will be situations when you see a Latin American cable, it's still maybe 5-10 years left of the economic lifetime, but the cost with the repeaters is going to be beaten with a new cable. So we need to keep a little bit of an eye on that. And so if operators and OTTs buy the capacity they need for themselves, that's okay, because you need it. And then the price element becomes less sensitive if you're an entrepreneur planning to do a subsea cable today and hope to be able to sell gigabits on the side. That's a very difficult proposition. So yes, I'm very optimistic that it will continue to grow for some time, but I think there is also, shall I say, a little bit on tampering on enthusiasm is not a bad thing.
Thank you so much. So you really think that the life cycle of the cables will be shortened? That's what you,
not because they can't deliver, but because that it will be difficult to be competitive on a power utilization.
No, exactly, because if we needed a repeater every, let's say, kilometer,
Yeah.
now it's every 100 kilometers, for instance.
Yeah.
Right? The same on terrestrial, by the way.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we went a bit over time, and apologies for that. We were discussing today the new business models and investment strategies to meet the cable's future digital demand. It was a mouthful, but I think, and I really hope that with the expertise from the panel live here at the GCCM Dubai, but also virtually from Hong Kong with MT. That you learned something from it. So let me get a quick minute to thank dearly Huda. Thank you so much for being here. Mustafa, Sudatel, thank you so much. MT, next time, man, here with us, right?
Certainly.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you, Robert, for joining at this short notice on this panel. Thank you very much. But guys, thank you for sitting here, to finding this here and to being with us and sharing your thoughts, François. So thank you so much. And for this, ladies and gentlemen, hugs and greetings from the GCCM in Dubai. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Ciao for now, and see each other very soon. Stay tuned to this platform. Ciao. Bye bye.